Jack Unterweger was born in Austria on August 6, 1950. His father was an American soldier, his mother was an Austrian waitress, and Jack claimed that she was a sex worker. When she was pregnant with Jack, she was put in jail for fraud, but she was released by the time he was born. In 1953, Jack's mother was arrested again, so he was sent to live with his grandfather in a small cabin. Jack and his grandfather bonded over a variety of activities, including stealing farm animals. Jack regularly missed school. By the age of 9, he was declared chronically truant. Jack had many entanglements with law enforcement. His favorite crimes involved theft and attacking women. From 1966 to 1974, he spent all but 12 months in prison, having racked up 16 convictions. In December 1974, he kidnapped an 18-year-old West German national named Margaret Schaefer and strangled her with her own bra. In 1976, he was convicted for this murder and sentenced to life in prison. Jack spent his time in prison writing poems, short stories, plays, and an autobiography titled Purgatory or the Trip to Prison, Report of a Guilty Man. He gained some degree of popularity as a writer. These self-proclaimed elite intellectuals in Austria were impressed by his work. They launched a campaign to get him released from prison. They believed that no one who wrote this well deserved to be in prison. It was a waste of talent. A petition was presented to the president of Austria, but he refused it on the basis that the court had ordered a minimum of 15 years in prison for Jack. Politicians, authors, and journalists kept pressing the issue. They insisted that they understood Jack better than other people. They knew that he was not dangerous and would certainly never kill again. After his 15-year minimum was satisfied, Jack was released from prison on May 23, 1990. He became a celebrity in Austria. He published 2 novels and produced 2 plays. His stories were read on Austrian radio shows. He appeared on television, including on talk shows. He would appear at bookstores and read his work, and his autobiography was used in schools to teach children. This doesn't really seem like the best idea. Maybe an analysis of the school curriculum concluded that there was a deficit of material for future killers.
Okay, stopping it there. Welcome to Mika Reaction Reviews. We're reacting to things on the internet, and today we have a different type of video. I let it play out a little bit longer than I usually would before I do my intro because I wanted you to try to get a feel of this story and what he's talking about. This YouTuber is a trained therapist or psychologist. He has his own very, very popular YouTube channel where he takes different people, different profiles, whether they're celebrities, whether they are famous serial killers, whether they're politicians, and he does like his analysis on it. That's not a professional analysis. He makes that very clear that he never met these people, so he cannot analyze them professionally or give them a diagnosis, but he uses his own professional training to analyze people, right? I guess this is a famous case. I've never heard of this serial killer, but this is a serial killer that he's doing a profile on. But he makes it clear, and the doctor himself talks more about this, and as the video goes on, because I've already watched this, that it's very, very weird how the people that said that he was too brilliant to have, be in jail, he's too talented, his talents are being wasted because he's such a brilliant writer, the people that literally signed petitions and tried to get him in protest to try to get him out of jail were the elite, were progressive elites. If you notice, he said authors, reporters, and politicians, right? It's funny how, if you look at the statistics of people who have sociopathic or psychopathic tendencies, the type of jobs they usually go after are jobs of powerful positions, which is celebrity, which is politics, which is law enforcement. Seems like, to me, the energy attracts energy. Kind of speaks to, and I'm going to get more into it as the video goes on, but it kind of speaks to the arrogance that a lot of these postmodernist elitist progressives have of themselves, that they're so above the average person, they're so brilliant that even if they do something that is morally apprehensible or cross the lines of most of our boundaries, they just don't get it. They don't understand his brilliant mind or something like that, right? And this is why a lot of serial killers have a fan base, and a lot of their fan base are usually progressive women, which is kind of strange. You don't really see a lot of religious, conservative housewives sending love letters to serial killers. It's mostly like young university progressive women who tend to idolize these type of people, right? Anyway, hopefully I explained myself well enough. I don't think I have. I feel like I'm all over the place, but I'm going to get back into the video so you can kind of get a better idea of what I'm talking about. He explains it much better than I do. But before you do, if you like this type of videos, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to get notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, you can donate. My PayPal me link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course, it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, subscribe. Another great way to support this channel is either join my brand new membership program, different levels, different tiers, different perks, or you can visit my brand new merch shop, links down below. And if you like, you can super thanks. Other than that, sit back, relax, and continue to enjoy the video. Alright, here we go.
Jack really focused on talking about how he was rehabilitated. He insisted that his homicidal endeavors had come to a conclusion. Jack Unterweger worked as a reporter for a national public service broadcaster. He would cover many different types of crimes, including murders. During his time as a reporter in 1990 and 1991, Jack killed a number of women by strangling them with their own bras. 6 in Austria and 2 in Czechoslovakia. He reported on some of the murders as part of his job, so he was reporting on the murders that he committed. I guess that's one way to always have the inside story. Jack rode along with police officers on patrol, visited areas known for prostitution, and strangled 3 sex workers with their own bras. That last item was not part of the writing assignment. On February 27, 1992, U.S. Marshals arrested Jack in Miami, Florida. About 3 months later, Jack was extradited to Austria and charged with 11 murders in total. The 6 in Austria, the 2 in Czechoslovakia, and the 3 in the United States. He was found guilty of 9 murders and acquitted of 2. On June 28, 1994, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But he did not even serve 1 full day of his sentence. Sometime between 3 and 3 a.m., now on June 29, his body was found by staff at the prison. He had used the drawstring from his sweatpants to hang himself. Some reports say that his shoelaces may have been involved as well. Jack Unterweger was 43 years old. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few items that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. Jack was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. The mental health clinician who assessed him also said that he was psychopathic, sadistic, and had histrionic tendencies. Many people who encountered Jack described him as enthusiastic, energetic, charming, outgoing, precise, articulate, and likable.
Very typical characteristic traits of people who are narcissistic and sociopathic. And that's why a lot of times they go into careers that are like celebrities, politicians, to be seen, stuff like that. They get into these bubbles because of their charismatic personality. They're very, very good at reading people. They're very good at using other people's traits and personality traits to back at them. They're very good at manipulating people. That's why they're very, not dangerous, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with one, let's just say that, because they're very good at manipulating others around them. But anyway, let's continue.
Image was very important to Jack. Jack was sent to prison for life after his first murder, but was released because he was able to appeal to wealthy intellectuals in Austria who identified as very liberal. These artistically oriented, high-status individuals found Jack to be endearing. For whatever reason, they didn't really seem to care about Jack paying the price for his 1974 murder. They believed that if he wasn't an ongoing threat to society, he should be released. After Jack was released from prison, he appeared to validate their faith in him. He talked about how he had been rehabilitated. His case proved that killers could be reformed in prison.
But the thing is, even if he was reformed, which is a very it's a very progressive liberal talking point about reforming the worst type of criminals in prison. But if you're a white cis male conservative MAGA Trump supporter, you need to be yeeted off the face of the planet, or at least re-educated. However, him literally murdering someone didn't really faze them, because they saw him as their own, and because they see themselves as the virtuous ones, they see themselves as the self-righteous ones, they see themselves as more intellectual and better than the average person, that is like they excuse his behavior, because it's almost like the idea of like an artist has to do certain things to become the artist that they are today, that kind of thing. Like, I understand he had to go through that path so he can write this amazing literature. You just don't understand because you're not a creative, you're not one of us. Okay, I haven't heard this video long. And being a creative myself and being in these circles, I've heard people talk like this. I've heard people excuse bad behavior from people that's in their circles. That's usually the artists, the postmodernist types, the progressive types, the liberals types, excuse bad behavior because they're one of us and the average normie person wouldn't understand them, kind of thing. That's why you see people like Meryl Streep giving Roman Polanski a standing ovation, because he was an artist, he was a great director, a great movie maker. It doesn't really matter that he was a kitty diddler. It just matters that he was creative and a normie person wouldn't understand. He had to do the things he had to do. So it was his artist self, and his art that he created couldn't express itself and evolve or something like that. A lot of these people go in the same circles. The creators, the postmodernists, the liberals, the progressives, the elitists, they all kind of swim in the same circles. And because, again, they feel so much like they're more on a higher plane than the average person, they can't see themselves as a bad person. They don't recognize their own shadow selves, right? Because they're so self-righteous. If this makes any sense. Anyway, let's continue. It's getting so dark. Okay, let's continue.
He was invited to cocktail parties at expensive houses. Everybody wanted to be with Jack. High society welcomed him with open arms. Here's what I think happened with these wealthy elite individuals. As I mentioned, this group identified as very liberal. Liberalism is a facet of openness to experience. All the facets of a personality trait tend to move together. So if a person is high in one particular personality facet, they are probably high in the rest of the facets that load on the trait. This isn't always the case, but again, it's the tendency. Other facets of openness to experience include creativity and investment in fantasy. These two facets have a strong association with writing ability. Therefore, writers tend to be more liberal. Again, the facets tend to move together. Because Jack was a good fiction writer, the members of high society assumed he must also be very liberal. This made him more endearing for two reasons. One, he was like them, and two, it offered them an explanation for his bad behavior that they could live with. People who are very liberal tend to be rebellious and break the rules, but also usually avoid serious crimes like murder.
That's what I'm saying. Liberal and they break the rules. You, normie, societal person, wouldn't understand why he did what he did because he's one of us. He's a creative. He's a philosopher. He thinks outside the normie bubble. It's like I've seen these people in real life in front of my eyes excuse things that are bad because they're creative, because they're a philosopher, because they're a great intellectual thinker. So what they did is okay because they needed to go through that journey. They needed to express themselves that way. You know what I mean? I was in theater. I was around people that I've seen weird behaviors between adults and children, and those behaviors being excused because the adult and a child are creatives, and they just don't understand. These creative children are just more mature, they're more evolved, they don't understand, they don't get it. A lot of these people excuse bad behavior. And I'm not saying that only liberals and lefties and progressives excuse these types of behaviors, because the priests in the Catholic Church were excused for decades and generations, and then probably are still being excused. So everyone does this, but it's like when you decided to declare yourself as above the rest, above everyone, when you just decided to declare yourself as the intellectuals, the virtuous ones, the self-righteous ones, you fail to see what can go wrong in those communities. It's the same thing when it comes to calling out the grooming behavior when it comes to the rainbow community. They fail to see, not everyone, a lot of people in the LGBTQ do see it, but the ones who excuse it, it's like, no, they can't be bad because they're one of us, and we're virtuous, we're righteous, we're the good guys. So they fail to see and call out the bad behavior when it's coming from someone in their tribe. It's so dark. I apologize. It really came out of nowhere, and I do not want to stop this video and do this all over again. So you're just going to have to deal with the bad fucking grainy image you're probably watching. But anyway, let's continue.
They viewed Jack as someone who was non-traditional, disobedient, and defiant, as opposed to truly dangerous. Now, of course, what doesn't make sense here is that Jack was convicted of murder. Most people think of murderers as dangerous. This didn't bother the wealthy intellectuals because of the way Jack framed the murder of his first victim. He said that his victim reminded him of his mother. He punched her in the head out of anger, and she unexpectedly died. In reality, he was lying.
But how was that
She was
okay?
actually strangled.
You punched your own mother
Essentially,
in the head.
Jack was able to manipulate the members of high society. As someone who was narcissistic, he understood their narcissism and used it against them. This was his most important victory because it allowed him to commit all of the other murders. I find it interesting that after Jack was arrested for several murders, those wealthy, high-status individuals didn't have much to say. They were like, Jack who?
Just ignore and deny, it never happened.
One intellectual in Vienna did offer an explanation, albeit one that was logically flawed. Referring to Jack, they said, quote, if he was the killer, he would be one of the cases of the century. Statistically, the chance that I would know one of the cases of the century is so unlikely that, therefore, I think he is not guilty, unquote. I'm not sure the term intellectual is appropriate for this particular supporter of Jack. Now moving to my final thoughts. Sending people to prison serves a number of purposes, including a deterrent, punishment, and keeping society safe. It's tempting to look at prisoners and think, if they're not a danger to society, they should be released. But that neglects the deterrent and keeping society safe elements. In Jack's case, the members of high society had such a grandiose view of themselves that anyone who was like them must also be great. It never occurred to them that being like them could be destructive. They did not have the insight to see both their own positive and negative characteristics. One could argue these wealthy intellectuals really were like Jack Unterweger. Neither one had insight. This lack of insight led to the deaths of at least 9 people. These victims died not only due to Jack's narcissism, but due to the narcissism of these self-proclaimed elites.
Alright, that's it, guys. Sorry about the sun just yeeted itself out of the sky. I apologize. But to wrap this up, he literally said exactly what I just said. And I watched this, but I watched this weeks ago. This video has been in my phone storage for like a month. And so for me, that's exactly what I was saying. It's because they've proclaimed themselves above the rest, the righteous, the self-righteous, the elite, the intellectuals, the philosophers, that they fail to see the failings and the dark side and the toxic sides of their own communities, or they just forgive it, right? Again, we've seen postmodernists push the idea of children having relationships with adults because they're trying to go against the normie religious, authoritarian churches. So let's rebel and let's break every boundary that we've set for ourselves, even though some of those boundaries are put in place for a reason, right? They see themselves as the rule breakers for a good cause, but a lot of times, because they tend to attract the narcissists, the sociopaths, and the psychopaths of the world, a lot of those people are within the groups and they get away with a lot of things because they belong to the self-proclaimed, self-righteous elitist types, right? That's kind of what that spoke to me, that video. I thought it was really interesting. I'm gonna go, guys, really dark. Let me know what you guys think of this video, what I said, what he said in the comment section below. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, get the notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, you can donate. My PayPal me link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course, it helps, but you don't have to. You just like, comment, and subscribe. Another great way to support this channel is either join my brand new membership program, different levels, different tiers, different perks, or you can visit my brand new merch shop. Links down below. The links to all of the Eternal platforms I'm on, my socials, including my Twitter, all the ways to support me and all the ways to contact me for business is always in the links down below. And if you like, you can super thanks. I also have a second travel vlog channel. I travel as a lifestyle. I live abroad. If you'd like to know where I am in the world, you can go to the description box below and also in the comment section. Hit the link. Go subscribe to my travel vlog channel. And don't follow me on my travel Instagram. My stories is usually what's most up to date. And you guys have an amazing day.